Delighted to have our friends at Different Thread back in the studio. Alicia Best, Robert Jackson, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Good to be back.
Alicia, hadn't been too long since you were here. Maybe 6 months, maybe?
Yeah.
So, but Robert's been maybe a year or so since we've seen you.
It's been like 5.
5 years.
No way.
Yeah.
He hasn't aged
Really
a day.
been 5 years?
Yeah.
Time passes.
Holy cow.
Yeah, 5 years.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Well,
there's a whole lot of stuff happened in between that we don't need to talk about. It's really
won't.
good to be back.
There goes the interview.
Great to see you. And as you know, we like to just jump in and play a song. Whatever you'd like to play, we'd love to hear.
Sure. This is a song called Cradle to the Grave. What does it take just to keep on keeping on? I'm in my mind, just trying not to drown. It's all the time, from the cradle to the grave, but I can see the sky and the shadows coming down. It takes, it takes over me. It takes all you have. It feels like running out of time down a crooked mile, and it's amber all the way. Why change it now? At the 11th hour, the stage is set, and we're standing in the light, and it takes, it takes over me. It takes over me.
Got what it takes. It just takes a while, is all, from the darkest hours to the breaking of the dawn. We may be poor, but we're rich in what we love, and we'll get by. We'll get by on just enough, and it takes, it takes over me. It takes over me. It takes over me. It takes over me.
Yay.
I think that song took a hold of me there.
Oh.
It has been a bit since we've seen you both together. How has the songwriting changed and developed in that time?
Well, we spent quite a large portion of time locked down in a house in England together.
That doesn't sound so bad.
It was okay. We had a lovely house to live in, thanks to our
Very
friend
fortunate.
Dave. And we got to writing kind of every day, really, including collaborating more kind of 50-50 on songs. And so that was great, you know. And then we had this kind of year apart. And so the longing was also a kind of a feature in the songwriting, you know. So I think we've come on a long way, really, in the last few years on our personal journeys with songwriting. At least I have. Don't know.
Yeah, I think that there's been a lot of more. I've spent a lot more intention with songwriting in recent years. Although I am somebody who songs come to, so I can just kind of like sit back a bit and wait for them to come, and they come at a fast enough pace that I am still producing songs. Over the last, like 4 years, I've been putting more intention into writing songs and coming from different angles to get them, and that's been a really fun process.
Right, because your last project, when you were here last time, you were working on what could best be described as feminist interpretations of various narratives.
Sure.
That you had put into, and of course we loved those, but this is special. Like this is sounding mighty fine.
Thank you.
Can you play us another one?
Yeah. Should we play the song we wrote in Sheffield? A new song?
Sorrow Brings Me Joy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Song
Sure.
that we collaborated on a song when we were in lockdown there. And
I was looking out of the window in the neighborhood, and there were ambulances pulling up every day, you know, taking people away to the hospital.
Oh.
Outside the...
Scary times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really scary.
And this was pandemic-related stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, right in the
Yikes.
middle of it. It was, you know, very... we had this big window so we could watch the world go by. And one day there was a magpie, which have always had some significance for me, pecking at a piece of bread in the road. And I thought, you know, there's that story, isn't there? 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy. And
we
so
count
on.
crows, they count magpies over in the UK.
Right, that's right. There's a slight difference there. But there was only one magpie. And so 1 for sorrow was good enough and brought me joy and brought us to write this song. 1, 2, 3.
Woke up on the wrong side. At least I'm not dead. Saw one magpie for sorrow, thinking I could use some bread. Good morning, Mr. Magpie. How's your wife today? Even sorrow brings me joy. Even if tomorrow brings me the blues today, sorrow brings me joy. Took a walk in the sunshine. When will I learn? Keeping on the sunny side always gets me burned. You're sitting in the shade now, throwing it at me. Today, even sorrow brings me joy. Even if tomorrow brings me the blues today, sorrow brings me joy. The devil can't come knocking if we don't have a door. Same goes for fortune, we don't live here anymore. We've been chasing loose ends, running like a thread. But today, even sorrow brings me joy. Even if tomorrow brings me the blues today, sorrow brings me joy. Yeah.
Different thread live here in the studio.
I don't want to steal about 6 of those lines.
So I was looking at your website, and there's something about busking in Ireland in 2016 is where you met.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit about. So you were just both of you hanging around a street corner, or what happened?
Yeah.
Well, I was
much.
busking, and Robert passed by and tipped his hat, which I thought was very old-fashioned of him. And
He's
then,
supposed to put the tip in your hat.
I know, right? And then I finished up, and I walked up the street, and I had noticed that he'd walked by with an instrument case, and then I walked up the street, and he was playing banjo with another guy who was playing guitar, and I had my instrument in my case at that point, and he called me over to sing a song. And
I thought it was a fiddle. I said, hey, you want to play the fiddle with us? And she
And-
said, it's a ukulele.
I hadn't played the fiddle in about 10 years, but I did want to play the fiddle with him, and and I picked it back up again.
And so we started singing, and our harmonies fit together in this way that felt incredible. And
I can attest to that with the headphones here on in the studio.
Yeah.
So nice story. So we're here to talk a little bit about songwriting. You're very good songwriters, each of you individually. And so as soon as you met, did you collaborate right from the beginning, or that sort of evolved?
Almost. I bounced a song off of Robert pretty much right at the beginning because I heard him offer that to somebody else, and I said, "Oh, I have a song that I'm stuck with. It's not the form I want it to be. It's too wordy. I don't know how to break it out of the shape that it's in." And so I sang it. He was back in England. I was in Ireland, and I made a little voice memo of it and sent it over to him, and then he helped me shape that song.
And so do you bring songs that are pretty much completed, and the other one of you just helps to, well, why don't we try and do a little bit different chord right here, or how about these words here, or is it much more organic to where it just kind of flows beautifully together and out comes this wonderful thing?
a little bit of both.
Yeah, I think it's a combination.
Yeah. There's a lot of me coming to Alicia and saying, hey, what's this song about? I can't figure out what I'm singing about. I've got the words, but like, where's the meaning? Where's the sentiment? And so Alicia's helped me with a lot of songs that way.
And in that, it's just having a conversation with him. Like, he had a song that he was like, this song is about quitting my job and, not wanting to make sandwiches anymore. But there was a song about, like, there was a line in it about needing change. And so I'm like, okay, that applies to, you want to quit your job, you want to stop working in the industry. But then there were other lines that seemed very romantic. And I was like, were you romantically involved with your sandwich shop? Because this is a very romantic kind of, sounds like you're like having some pain in leaving a romantic relationship. And then it kind of turned out that it was more about that than it was about the sandwich shop, though it was all connected. And yeah, I think that I'll bring songs to Robert where I think most of the time the words are all done, but maybe the bridge needs something more interesting or could use something more interesting with the chords, or a shift in the melody, or even I brought a song to Robert that I thought was a slow song, and he was like, why don't you play that like it's a fast song? Like, pretend the band is playing one of their upbeat songs, sing it now. And that sort of thing. So I think we balance each other out in a lot of ways, where Robert will come to me and have lyrical form or less lyrical form, and then I'll come to Robert and have less like chord structure.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Well, we're here to get as much music in as we can, so what do you have for us next?
Didn't Want to Go?
Sure.
It's called Didn't Want to Go, and was written about that sort of saying goodbye, knowing it was going to be maybe a year or more before we would see each other again. Not sure. So it wasn't our choice to separate. It was, we were forced to. That's, that's the truth of it. And it has a little whistling section, so feel free to join in if you want to. see, where you'll wait for me to come home, as if we have one of those. Well, I ain't got these feelings, I ain't got these blues, when I've got you by my side, ain't no doubt in my mind. That you didn't wanna go, didn't wanna go. We almost had it all right, we almost had it all, but for a twist of fate that left me lying awake in the night, you're not here by my side. And I ain't got these feelings, I ain't got these blues, when I've got you by my side, ain't no doubt in my mind. Oh, 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 that you didn't wanna go, you didn't wanna go, no, you didn't wanna go, you didn't wanna go.
I especially like the whistling part.
Very nice.
I'm dying to ask a question of both of you, and whomever's comfortable, answer it first. Both of you have recently had the experience of being, and choose your word that you see fit, the foreigner, the outsider, the other. How did being that person affect your creative self, whether it was good or whether it was a challenge? Or how does it affect your creative
That's an
self?
interesting question. Yeah, Robert's in it now.
Well, I prefer the term alien.
Okay,
So-
like pick your term, because I don't know what we prefer.
I'm very aware of the moment when I go back to my hometown and visit my family and friends, and they're going to say, "You sound so American. Look at you with your cowboy boots and your fancy hat," you know. And my accent might have changed, which is just life. That's what happens. And yet the music, I'm sure that they'll be asking me about what it's like here. And we had the pleasure of going to Mount Airy Fiddlers Convention last
Oh,
weekend.
that's huge.
And I got to take part in some old-time round peak
Oh,
style jams.
Those are fun.
And I'm now excited to try and write a song with a similar pace and tempo and energy, but with lyrics. And some might say, well, that's bluegrass.
Yeah.
It came from that area, bluegrass did.
Is that where you usually get your inspiration, just by hearing different types of music, or is that unique?
Yeah, when I first heard Jimi Hendrix, it was on a B-side of Bob Dylan, and so the two together made me run and pick up my guitar. You know, I was a child, so for me, hearing new music has always been very inspiring.
So guitar was your first instrument?
Piano was my first
Mm-hmm.
instrument.
We hear that a lot, and then it's gravitating to other instruments. And
Try traveling with a piano.
So,
Yeah.
but piano was a early childhood thing?
Yes, it was an early childhood thing until I was maybe, I'm not very good with years, but I was maybe 6 or so when I said to my parents, thank you very much, but I want to stop having lessons.
Yeah.
And I was able to then play by ear. And
You know, as every 6-year-old speaks to their parents.
Indeed. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you very much.
So
and
how about
Alicia,
you?
yeah.
it wasn't quite so
Go ahead.
graceful, I'm sure. Yeah.
And then for you, when you were across the pond, how did being in that role affect your creative self?
Yeah. I think there's a bit of like almost tokenism that happens of like, oh, that's the American, say a thing about the American, or have the American say a thing. Apparently there was some drum and bass hit that everyone who's like Robert's age knows, where there was some clip of an American saying something about a cloud. I don't remember it, but I have been made to say it
Oh my God.
many times because apparently I sound very much like this woman in this drum and bass song. I think that similarly to Robert saying that he's been inspired by music from here, I mean, I grew up listening to back porch music and Thistle and Shamrock.
The best.
Freddie Jenkins
religiously.
and Fiona.
Fiona
Fiona
Ritchie.
Ritchie.
Yes.
And actually one of my aunts went to college with Fiona Ritchie.
Oh,
And one of my uncles played mostly Irish and some old time like tunes and stuff. So this crisscross of music, this like conversation, this musical transatlantic musical conversation, that of course would not exist if it weren't for the slave trade and the rhythms and influence that Africans had on what our American music is. Is such a part of my musical soundscape. And also, if you look at Robert's dad's record collection and my dad's record collection, there's a lot of overlap. So
how
we
about
had-
that? So
That's
you had
interesting.
a lot of the similar sounds growing up in your households.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so
a
then,
few
Alicia-
very, very different exceptions that were not you would not see in each other's collection as well.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Always good.
Hard
And
nosed.
fiddle was your first?
Violin. Classical
Violin.
violin.
Oh, we called it
yes.
violin because it was
Well,
classical.
When I was 3, it was a violin.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, a Suzuki.
Yes.
Oh,
But now
nice.
you say fiddle.
I
More-
play
more
the
so.
I play the fiddle now.
So, what's the difference between violin and fiddle?
How you play it.
I've had people try to explain to me, no, the bridge is higher on one and the arch of the bridge is a little bit different. I was like, no, it's how you play it.
Well, you can't. Some fiddle players do flatten
File-
the bridge a little
file it
bit.
down,
I
yeah.
haven't seen somebody with a flattened bridge in a really long time. But
So you
as
can
a
get
kid,
multiple notes
I
off the
remember.
string?
So you can, yeah. So you
Yeah.
can do more droning. You can drone
Right.
three strings rather than 2.
Right.
Everybody, we are here enjoying our time tremendously with Alicia and Robert of A Different Thread. You can learn all about them and their upcoming gigs at adifferentthread.com. Amen.
Amen, brother.
But they're here right now with us.
And we should
And
hear
you
some
can
more
watch them at Facebook and Twitch and YouTube. We'll get to that later. But
Speaking of fiddle,
they should play more stuff.
she got a fiddle.
Here comes the fiddle.
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't bring a violin.
We could do parts fiddle. maybe.
Yeah.
Let's do that. So the tuning and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna do a song from our first album called Potter's Field. It's our kind of folkier side and kind of shows that English-Irish influence that has definitely been pervasive in my songwriting. Well, they don't know I came to town in my wedding dress. My shoes were shined, I tried my very best. He took my name and he gave me his. But I'd rather none than a name like this. Lay me in a shallow grave, wrap me in a linen shroud. I would potter's field. I never spoke about the silk and the satin too, that he gave to me to hide the black and blue. But in the dead of night and behind closed doors, his rage was never satisfied with more. Lay me in a shallow grave, wrap me in a linen shroud. I would settle for a stone without a name, out in the potter's field. You should have seen me on the night I left, bare feet in the snow and partway dressed. But it starts in the fingers and it moves from there. A frozen girl on the old church stairs. Lay me in a shallow grave, wrap me in a linen shroud. I would settle for a stone without a name, out in the potter's field. Well, the prettiest thing I've seen since I left the farm was the frost shining in the morning sun, and the care with which the old man lay me down, as if he'd lost a daughter of his own. Lay me in a shallow grave, wrap me in a linen shroud. I would settle for a stone without a name, out in the potter's field. Lay me in a shallow grave, wrap me in a linen shroud. I would settle for a stone without a name, out in the potter's field. I would settle for a stone without a name.
I love that song so much. That really showcases y'all's harmonies, and just I think half our listeners out there are crying.
Thanks, Bob.
Hopefully they're healing tears.
Yeah, hopefully. Go ahead, Kirk.
Everybody, it is the top of the hour, and we are past the hat. The station is WHUP LP FM. We are here every Friday from 6 to 8 o'clock, and we have been for over 9 years.
Closing in on a decade.
If you want to listen on the internet, you can go to WHUPFM.org, and all of our shows are archived. Over 1,000 shows out there, and not just our show, but we have dozens of other wonderful offerings here at the station. But in addition to that, we are streaming live video. Bob, tell the people where to find that, because we still have 30 minutes of a different thread that they can get on there and see what these people look like.
That's right. If you're just listening on the radio or listening through WHUPFM.org, you need to jump on the live stream so you can see these fine folks. And you can do that at Whoop Pass the Hat, at WHUP Pass the Hat on your favorite streaming services. And your favorite streaming services are YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Just go to the search bar, type in WHUP Pass the Hat. You will find the live stream.
And we are so fortunate to have an Hour 2 sponsor, Bob.
That's
and
right.
Everybody,
One
on
of
your
you
live
needs to-
stream, you can see a little brown box with a
Spokesmodel.
beautiful little navy blue bow.
And if one of y'all will do your Vanna White impression by picking up that box and displaying it to the camera, I will remind folks that support for this second hour of Pass the Hat is sweetly provided by Matthews Chocolates,
Yay,
104 North Churton Street, Hillsborough, North Carolina, the finest in chocolate and chocolate accessories for all of your chocolate needs. And let's face it,
We all have chocolate needs.
Every guest on Pass the Hat gets a gift of chocolate from Matthew. We don't know what's in the box, but we know that it's delicious, and you guys take this home with you and enjoy some chocolate.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
It's the only reason I actually came today.
Well,
Right.
that's why we do it.
That's why everybody
Bribes
does
are
it. It's
necessary.
fine.
Robert, one thing that's fun about doing the show is that we get to see all these wonderful instruments. We've seen thousands of guitars. We have never seen a guitar like that. If I'm not mistaken, it's a Martin,
Yes.
but we don't have Martins like that here. Where did you get that?
I got this in London.
Yes. And it is unusual.
What is that? The body wood. It's got a lot of figure to it, but I can't quite see it from here.
It's not actually wood. This is made from what Martin calls high-pressure laminate.
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
And so, using the offcuts of the guitars that they've made, they mix the sawdust with a wood resin and layer it up in sheets in different directions.
Right.
So it becomes harder than any wood. And you can't actually cut this unless you've got a diamond saw.
No kidding. So it's super durable.
So it's durable, it's scratch-proof, and it has a lot of tension, which gives the guitar this kind of squeeze, and it's quite loud for.
Right. Tension drives tone and volume.
Well, it sounds just really nice. Would that be a cedar top, or what is the top we have there?
This is satin wood.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, tawny satin wood.
And then beautiful inlay, Bob, up and down that neck. Look at that.
yeah,
Wow.
all of that's wood. And when I first saw this guitar, it was in the shop window, and I walked in, and I just inherited some money from a relative passing away, and I was looking to buy, and I said, "How much is this?" And he told me, he said, "Look, if you really want it, I can probably knock some off, because it's been in the window for 6 months, and it's the last one that we've got from them, and they've discontinued the model." So I played it, and I went away. I came back 2 weeks later, and it was still there.
Oh,
And I thought, okay,
Meant to be.
Then it's meant to be. So yeah, he knocked 400 off the price for me, because he
Nice.
could see how much it meant to me, you know. And I think I might have dropped a line about a relative as well.
You named it after Aunt Barbara.
This is Barbara.
I'll bet
An
Aunt
appropriate
Barbara
name.
would have thought that was a wonderful use
I bet
of
she
the
would.
of the money.
Now you guys told us briefly about meeting on a street corner. But Alicia, how did you find yourself to be on a street corner overseas?
Yeah, a friend of mine we'd talked about traveling in Ireland together for a long time, and I was actually living in Guatemala at the time and playing a lot of music down there.
Well, wait a minute. Okay, we'll get to Guatemala in a second. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was in Guatemala, and I needed to do a visa run, which usually I would either
As
come
one
back
does.
to the States, visit family, or just go up to Mexico or Belize. And my friend contacted me and said, come to Ireland. We're going to be there for 10 days. Wow, 10 whole days in Ireland. And I was like, ooh, this is really tempting, but if I'm going to Ireland, I have to go for more than 10 days. And I want to learn, I want to be reunited with my fiddle, and I want to learn music, and I want to go there. And so I tried to get my fiddle to my friend, and we met up in Ireland, and he failed to get the fiddle to me.
Oh no.
But also, he was really wanting to find an Irish lady. And my friend Linda said that the reason he did not do that was because the Pixies were mad
Because
that he
of
had
the fiddle.
not brought me my fiddle.
That
And
is
that
a
if he had
fair
brought me my
point.
fiddle, then he would have been
Happily
happily
ever
married
after would have
in
happened.
Ireland right now. So I got to Ireland early, spent 10 days with my friend Linda, who I had met down in Guatemala the year before. and then spent 10 days with my two buddies from Massachusetts. And then on the 21st day in Ireland, I met Robert in the street.
So Guatemala.
Yeah.
Who told you it was okay just to be a jet-setting, world-traveling person?
Well, I don't fully know. I was radically unschooled growing up, so that probably has something to do with it. But I first went down to Guatemala when I was 17 because I had gone to a benefit for Camino Seguro Safe Passage, which is an organization that has a school and an aftercare school sort of thing for kids who live in and around the Guatemala City dump. And I went when I was 14 and was just really taken by this woman, Hanley Denning, who had founded it. And she had just sold all of her worldly possessions to move down there and start that. And after hearing her speak at the gymnasium at Forest View Elementary School, I walked up to her and I said, "How soon can I go?"
Wow.
And she said, "We take people as young as 17. And so I started the clock and somehow, for some reason, didn't start learning Spanish. But I learned Spanish in Guatemala, and I went down when I was 17 with 2 other girls from North Carolina who were 17, who I didn't know previously. And at that time, there were very few people speaking English. It was a very immersive experience for me, both in culture and in language. I loved the language, I loved the culture, I loved the food, I loved the people I met. And I still know people who I met that time, and I'm 35 now. And I've been back probably about 8 times, and I'm looking forward to going back again. And I know people who live down there who are international, who are from other nations as well, but have connected very deeply with some Guatemalan people who live there, and
So
always look forward to
What
going
she's
back.
saying is no one has to tell her anything. She does what she wants.
Exactly.
I'm getting that. So you've traveled to Guatemala and to Ireland. You travel elsewhere as well?
Yeah. On my own, I traveled Mexico, Belize, Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua, and parts of Europe. When I was 20, I went on a little Europe trip for just a couple of months. And then together we've toured Mexico, Guatemala, parts of the States, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, Ireland several times, and all over the UK.
And y'all aren't independently wealthy trust fund babies. You just find a way to make it work.
We are scrappy and sleep on floors.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Robert, do you travel similarly?
Yeah, I took my first European trip when I was 24, I think, 25, and got as far as Hungary and came back. And that was my first experience busking as I went.
Mm-hmm.
And I fell in love with the art of busking, which then took me to the States, where I flew to New York, got into a cross-country motor race to LA, and then visited
Cannonball Run.
various states. Yeah, the Cannonball Run, yeah. And then went back to Ireland to start touring Ireland as a busker, and that's when we met. And we don't really do a lot of busking anymore, but it's still something that I value and love talking about as well, and I encourage any musicians who are thinking about it just to try it out.
Oh,
If you
absolutely.
play us another song, we will not make you sleep on our floor.
But you're welcome too.
Luckily, we have our own floor right now. We put a mattress on it and everything.
You know, they who said travel is the antidote for ignorance? Apparently, it also brings us good music.
Call of the Road.
Sure.
Speaking of travel,
Oh, see, look what they did there. Do you see what they did there?
Perfect.
They're such good guests. So perceptive. Hey, by the way, while they set up a little bit here, I found at their website their tour dates. So you should go find that. They're going to be in Kernersville. You're going to be in Kernersville.
We are going to be
Soon.
in Kernersville.
Yeah,
Vegas.
and then they're
Next
leaving the country. So go see them in Kernersville.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, this song is about finding a home on the road, which we have done.
1, 2, 3.
I felt my foot doesn't always feel like the right thing to do, but I'm not ready to set my roots in now. No, I'm not ready to settle down. I hear the call of the road and I'm going. I'll call the road my home. And if you ever feel like roaming, I'll happily welcome you home. I stop just to feel the wind upon my face, taking the rocky edges of this foreign mountain range. I wanted to call you, but I know it's not fair. 500 miles away and to tell you I care. I hear the call of the road and I'm going. I'll call the road my home. And if you ever feel like roaming, I'll happily welcome you home. I saw a picture of you with a lover, your smile so bright. And I'm happy you found another who fits into your life. And I know New England is perfect all this time of year. Well, I'm headed westward from here. I hear the call of the road and I'm going. I'll call the road my home. And if you ever feel like roaming, I'll happily welcome you home. I will happily welcome you home.
A Different Thread live here on Pass the Hat.
That was a great song. Love that.
We've had great songs all night. This is a good show.
This is, and I'm intrigued by I looked at your UK dates. You've got quite a tour lined up there. And then after this tour wraps up, what's next for A Different Thread? So here you are, you're living in the States. Do you have any particular goals, either musical or non-musical, that you're working toward?
We definitely do.
Yes, we do.
Yes, indeed.
We're totally DIY. We do everything ourselves, and
Love
so
that.
We have to kind of plan in advance.
Yep.
So we've kind of worked out 1 year, 5-year goals, 10-year goals. We sat down and talked about 26-year goals once, but really we're kind of living 1 year at a time, sort of, one album at a time maybe.
So we're going to start booking for kind of next spring here and in surrounding states soon. If you know any venues that you would recommend, please pass them along.
We know venues. We know some.
And
Well, you know about Eno House.
Yes, we played Eno House back in February. It was lovely, the last day of
Love that
February.
place.
That extra day we got this year, took advantage of that.
They rang the bell for us. It was wonderful.
It was really nice.
We're working on our next album in our tiny home, and we're doing it mostly ourselves, at least the foundation. We're sending it to a producer, engineer friend in England who's working on it remotely.
And we are going to have some local musicians get involved as well.
And so the second song we played, we're going to put on the album, as well as songs I'm very excited about recording. But we're going to be launching a Kickstarter in 1 month to fund the record. So we're kind of focusing on the tour and the Kickstarter at the moment.
And then to be very literal with your question, when we come back from our 3-month tour in the UK, we'll have just a couple weeks before we start selling Christmas trees in Brooklyn, which is a thing I've been doing for 4 years.
That sounds awesome.
Now this is you, so you're doing this for the good of somebody. So for whom are you selling Christmas trees? Because I know it ain't for some deep-pocketed schmuck.
Well, it very well may be. We're
allowed to
this is
talk
I
about
was
it.
wrong.
this is I don't play into the capitalism in very many ways, and let alone the Christmas capitalism. And I used to try to hustle as an artist when I was doing like cloth art, fiber arts, and do those Christmas fairs and stuff. And it never really was worth its weight in headache. And there is so much joy that I get and that I give by selling Christmas trees on the corner of Vanderbilt and Myrtle in Fort Greene that isn't particularly related to the grand scheme of the Christmas tree mafia that may or may not be a thing.
It probably is.
I think it is to some degree, but there's all of this hype and this there's certainly a monopoly there's like 3 companies that are allowed to sell Christmas trees in New York, and that's goes way back. So that's definitely a thing. But for instance, our boss guy in an article has been described as this like apparently he lives offshore on some mega yacht all year round.
He's got 2 pit bulls either side of his bed.
Either side of his bed,
pile of cash
with
and
shark skin gloves, he counts his money. But he comes by the stand, he's like an aging hippie, like smoking a spliff, and I don't I'm like, can I imagine this guy in this penthouse hotel room during the Christmas tree season whenever he's not buying me a fish sandwich? I don't know. People live double lives,
But still, you get to be there selling people Christmas trees.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're selling them a dream, an icon,
And
aspirations of a wonderful holidays, all this great stuff.
even more than that, we're bringing a good smell to a
Right?
corner in New York. So even the people who
That's
don't want to
everything.
buy a Christmas tree
It smells
are
clean.
so happy that we are there. They'll buy us a cup of coffee, hang out for a chat.
So, speaking of crass commercialism and capitalism, do you guys have merch? Do you have albums that you've already made that people can buy from you?
We
do
have
indeed.
2 full albums on a vinyl and on CD and also online. And we have a handful of earlier recordings and EPs kind of amongst them.
Got
So
3
if people go
EPs.
to a differentthread.com, can they buy them from you?
They can indeed. Yeah, please buy
Y'all
our
should do
records.
that.
Yeah.
And you can also come out to Taking Back Thursdays out in RTP the last 2 Thursdays, or every Thursday this month.
Is
we've
that
been
at the
playing out.
Brickyard?
It's at the Box
Box
Yard.
Box Yard, yes.
From,
fantastic
from
place,
noon
by
to
the way.
2, and we will have physical copies there as well if you want to
This
come
coming
out.
Thursday?
Every Thursday in June.
June 20 and June 27.
There you go.
That's a reason for me to go to the office on Thursdays.
Well, I think
Thank you.
if we might have time for 2, maybe
Yeah,
three,
yeah.
3 more songs.
Cool. Yeah.
Unless there's a ukulele
Get
involved.
close.
Then we have to have 5.
Right.
I was thinking of doing.
Yeah.
We need to get close.
Let's do Get Close. Yeah.
All right. This is a song off our last album. It's called Get Close. There's a certain kind of lonely you can get in a crowd. Try to recreate it when no one else is around. It feels different
I'll be gone. I never did straight roads. The wind picked up and I had to go. I wanna get close. I wanna run away. I'm afraid to hold on too tightly. I wanna let go, or I wanna stay. I wanna wait till the moment's right. There's a certain kind of reckless I get after 2 a.m. Never seem to feel it when the working day begins. But if you're lucky, you'll see both sides of me. Head down, hard working, swimming naked in the sea. I wanna get close. I wanna run away. I'm afraid to hold on too tight. I wanna let go, or I wanna stay. I wanna wait till the moment's right. I wanna wait till the moment's right. So let's go and run away tonight.
It just gets sweeter and sweeter.
Everybody, as long as we're talking about songwriting, we do want to invite you over across the street to Yonder. Our songwriters over yonder next Wednesday, 7 to 9 o'clock. I'll be
Gonna
there
a good
with
one, y'all.
Jonathan Bird and Rebecca Newton.
And Kirk Ridge.
Kirk Ridge.
It's going to be a
I'm putting
fantastic
that
show.
on my calendar, and then Thursday of the next week, we have to go to RTP.
To Boxyard.
To the
y'all-
box yard.
Y'all need to just write this on your calendar as you hear it, setting the good example.
Now, a different thread. We do have time for another song, but Robert, I have to ask you first. How many times have you changed harmonicas tonight?
I lost track.
So more than
Two
one.
or three. I think I've only used 2 so far, but I
But-
like to carry them all just in case.
The reason I ask, and I think you know why I asked, is you walked in with this fantastic little package of harmonicas. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Or yes, even show it.
Homemade leather.
Woo, look at that.
When I
So-
first started playing music out in public with the harmonica, my mom made me one of these out of fabric, and I used it for 4 or 5 years until it kind of fell apart, which was around the time we were about to go and meet up in Mexico after a while apart. And I decided to craft this leather bandolier after watching far too many Clint Eastwood movies where they wear these for bullets. But you
That
know,
is
I'm
way better than
anti-violence. So yeah. And so I used leather from Alicia's old ukulele case, which she had handmade for her in Guatemala about 5 years before that or something. And so it's upcycled leather, and it's traveled, and it's got a story, and I just love customizing things. So for me, this was a way of killing my nervous energy before the flight to Mexico as well.
But
On
it
that-
is gorgeous.
On
And
that last song, you were doing a dual duet, same lines
Trying.
on guitar lead and harp. That was so cool. Never heard that before.
It's challenging at the best of times.
That
I
was
hope
really
it came
good.
out okay.
Oh yes.
Well, let's play us out with one more song. And y'all, you have been listening to A Different Thread live here on Past the Hat. Learn more at adifferentthread.com. Go out there, go to all the shows, buy all of the merchandise. You know you want that music. And, of course, you can also find that music on all of your favorite streaming services.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you, guys. In this town, nothing's changed. In fact, you look just the same. Same old demons knocking at your door. But in this room, between these walls, there lies something more. Something simple and familiar, something pure. But all my friends are all made up. Some might call that luck, but a lucky man still has a price to pay. Tell me, what is it I'm supposed to say? Should I live this life day by day? Or maybe I should risk it on a whim. Up in New York, they're in turmoil. In London, they've got the blues. But in this room, there's a friend that I could use. But all my friends are all made up. Yeah, someone filled their cup, and I'm staring down an empty glass again, singing, what is it I'm doing here? It must be time to face my fear. Or maybe I should risk it on a whim. On a whim, on a whim. Can't you hear it calling in the wind? On a whim, on a whim. Can't you hear it call again? Well, maybe I'll just risk it on a whim.
A different thread live here on Pass the Hat. You guys have been listening to a fantastic hour. Learn more at adifferentthread.com, and we're coming to the part of the live stream where the live stream ends. But you guys watching the live stream, the music doesn't end. You can come back to WHUPFM.org or or Pass the Hat on your TuneIn app, however you listen to us outside of the live stream, because live stream is ending now, but we're going to keep playing music that A Different Thread brought in for us to play, and they think you need to hear it. So y'all wave goodbye to the live stream.
Thanks so much
Bye.
for having us.
Keep waving goodbye. I'm not done yet. Okay, we're done with